It's time for the One Bar and Lupaga Show, bringing you anything and everything Minnesota Vikings.
Welcome to professional football.
All right, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus Show. I am One Bar, joined with a freshly shaven Lupagus. Finally got the haircut.
Lost 5 pounds of hair. You got your haircut too?
I did. Long overdue. It was getting real nasty.
Yeah, I was getting those wings. When you can feel it, that's what sucked. When you can feel how long it is, it just drives me crazy.
Yeah, it was disgusting. And
have you ever felt how long I am?
What?
Have you ever felt how long I am?
I am not. Anyways, let's get into this week's episode, not this week's, today's episode, and we are going to be going up and down the defensive roster, position by position, and answering some tough questions.
I would almost call them burning questions.
Burning questions. Before we get into these burning questions, subscribe to the video channel, like the video. And also, I've had multiple comments on my Minnesota accent on multiple videos. It's starting to get offensive.
It's really thick and heavy. You need to work on that.
Can't help it. I am who I am. But let's, before we get into that, we got some trivia.
Ooh.
And since this is a defensive-themed video, I'm going to keep it on the defensive side of ball. And Mike Zimmer has had George Edwards as his defensive coordinator throughout his tenure. Who was the defensive coordinator before George Edwards? Simple, right? Right?
I'm not sure it is.
All right. We'll have the answer at the end, but let's just get into this.
I got some thoughts on that matter, but I'm not sure they're right. I think I'm
sure
forgetting somebody. All right. So let's look at the defensive tackles. Let's hop right into there. The question facing the defensive tackles, the burning question that I know we have is, will Shamar Stephen even make the team this year?
Wow. I can tell you're very very passionate because you're yelling at me. Will he make it? My answer is he has to make it, and I don't like that answer. But we got too many unproven guys behind him. If we cut him, we save like $2 million or so and some change. But really, it's not worth the risk. Stephen is not sexy. He's not going to come in and have 8 sacks. He's kind of just gets the job done. And I think, unfortunately, we have to default to keep him until we know what we have behind him.
Yeah, I'm on the complete opposite side of the spectrum here. I think we cut him. He only had like 20-something tackles last year. He's supposed to be the run stuffer. He got pushed around. The Vikings dropped all the way to about 18th in run defense last year with yards allowed. And a big part of that was Stephen just sucked. I think they're going to go with a youth movement here. Julio Johnson, Armand Watts can kind of be a dual role. They can stuff the run. They can provide that interior pressure. And James Lynch, I think, will get a lot of snaps, especially on third downs and passing situations to be that interior rusher. We all know Michael Pierce, the juggernaut, is not an interior pressure guy, but he's there to stuff the run. So I would be surprised if he makes the team. I really would be.
Yeah, and maybe they look at it with Pierce coming in. Maybe he'll help Shamar Stephen rise to the occasion. But Stephen was on the field. I can't remember the percentage, but it was a very large percentage of snaps last year.
Yeah, and he got
so
like
to also
tackles.
just remove him completely is a little scary. I'm playing real safe.
He didn't do anything. He was a major disappointment.
Well, it's not like he's really breaking the bank. He's not making a ton of money.
Yeah, but he didn't even earn his contract, in my opinion.
Got it. You hate Shamar Stephen more than anything. And I
used to love him.
I think he's a late round guy, another guy that we brought up. So he's got a special place in our heart. I think it's fair to, I think it's 50-50.
I think it's 80-20. He gets cut.
All right. Well, we will see how that unfolds. Let's go to the defensive end.
Ooh.
Can Mr. Afidi Odenigbo build off of that breakout 2019 season this year?
This is a tough one. I think it can go either way. In my heart, I want to say yes. He will improve on those 7 sacks he had a season ago. He will continue to take the next step and progress. But just as easily, I think he could take a step back. I don't think, teams really game planning for him a year ago. They weren't saying, hey, we've got to go out and shut down Ifeadi Odenigbo. But this year he will be a starter. They will be game planning against him. He's going to see a lot more snaps. Can his body hold up to the added playing time? So I think it can go either way. I'm going to say he will improve because that's what I want to see, but I could definitely see it going the other way too.
Yeah, I think he will. I think he's a guy that's going to be very, very extra hungry for his next contract. His next contract will be his big boy, no doubt about it. He does have a lot of pressure filling in for filling Griffin's shoes, but the way he was trending that second half of the season, I mean, he got 6 of his sacks in the last 8 games. Mm-hmm. So with the help we got on defensive line with Pierce, we got Hunter on the other side. Odenigbo, I fully expect 8+ sacks out of him, and I think he will be just as good, if not better. And really, even if he's just as good, he was pretty damn good last year.
Yeah, not only was he getting the sacks, but he had a touchdown, and he was kind of making plays. So good things happen when Odenigbo is on the field. But actually, we have 2 questions when it comes to defensive ends today. I don't know if you knew that or not. The other question is, will the rookies make the team over the crusty veteran backups? How do you see the depth shaking out this year?
Well, unless I'm missing something, we only got 2 rookies, and it's DJ Wanham and Kenny Willekes.
Yeah, and we have 2 crusty veterans too.
We do. We got Eddie Yarbrough and Anthony Zettel. So
yes,
DJ Wanham's a shoo-in. He could have the worst preseason training camp of his life or ever, and he's going to make the team.
Because
so it really comes down to, will Kenny Willekes make the team? And man, I hope so. But I could see him keeping an extra defensive end just so Willekes can make it, because I think Anthony Zettel, I think we need a little bit more veteran presence there, and I think Zettel offers a little bit more. So I could see him keeping more. But Eddie Yarbrough's gonzo.
Yeah, he hasn't had a tackle since 2018. Zettel, I think, had like 7 since 2018. So neither one of these guys is very inspiring. So yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see the rookies make it over these veterans. I really don't think Zettel gives you a whole hell of a lot. And it all depends I think the defensive tackles, how many they want to keep there, because that's a way more talented group from top to bottom, if you ask me. So yeah, I actually hope it is, the 2 studs and the 2 rookies. They only keep 4 defensive ends. And yeah, I'm on the same boat as you. I hope Willekes makes it. I like what that guy has. I like his work ethic, his motor. He's a great story. I want to see him make this team and just freaking dominate. Be the Adam Thielen of the defense.
Wow. We could be seeing quite the youth movement all across the defensive line this year with
and if you keep these rookies, you're crossing your fingers. You're praying to God that Dino Hunter or Odenigbo do not get hurt, because if they do,
gross. You know who you called in?
You call Everson Griffin.
Everson. Hello, Everson. I wish I had a banana right now.
If he doesn't answer, he called Jared Allen.
He'd still rip shit up. All right, let's move to the linebackers. Troy Dye, sexy name. Everybody's very excited about him. 4th round steal. Mm-hmm. Does he push Eric Wilson for his starting job day 1?
Well, I guess you got to define what the word push means. But I was kind of on the train that he would early, but now the more I think about it, look at what Eric Wilson did last year. He started about 6 or 8 games. He was just dominating. There's no way Troy Dye gets his starting job this year. I love Eric Wilson. I think he's going to have a big year. He's looking for a big contract, and he is going to dominate. So I don't see it happening at all.
Yeah, I think they ease Dye in slowly. I think Dye is a guy that will be out there on 3rd downs and pass coverage. That is his bread and butter. And then they just let Anthony Barr loose after that quarterback. But Eric Wilson, very underrated. He will be our starter, barring an injury. Troy Dye will just be some spot duty, special teams, and then depending on what happens next year, Eric Wilson gets a contract somewhere else, whatever. Troy Dye will be definitely the next man up.
Yeah, I agree. I think Troy Dye is Eric Wilson's replacement. The team knows they cannot afford him next year, so Dye is going to get his feet wet, his whole lower half wet, as he prepares for the 2021 season this year. We got one more question. Yeah, go ahead. You got something?
I was going to say a little bit of impromptu trivia. Eric Wilson, where did he go to college?
I don't know, Maryland?
Cincinnati.
Damn it. Should have known that. I lived there. All right. One more question when it comes to linebackers. Look at the depth. Who are the Vikings going to keep? Are they going to keep Ben Gideon, or are they going to keep Cameron Smith? Who do you think is going to win this battle?
I don't give two shits.
Really? I mean, you don't want the veteran there, or you want this really not exciting rookie from a year ago?
All right, here. Let me break her down here. Ben Gideon is going to be making $900,000 this year. If Cam Smith was an ounce better, I would say maybe, but he's just not worth keeping. Gideon's. I mean, the biggest surprise out of this is Ben Gideon has started 22 games in his career. 22 games, which is like shocks my pantaloons right off me. So the fact that worst case we need to start Ben Gideon or something, I would rather start Ben Gideon in a pinch than Cam Smith. Ben Gideon will continue to add special teams value. So unless Cameron Smith shows up as a brand new man, just like Brooks and Dunn said, he's gonzo.
I actually think Cameron Smith's going to win this job. Gideon, even before his injury, he had like 13 tackles last year. We said this guy is freezer burnt vanilla ice cream, brings nothing exciting to this defense. So I don't really see any reason to keeping him around other than you know what you're going to get. Cameron Smith, at least there's still a pube of upside here with this guy, even though he was very disappointing as a rookie. Very disappointing.
Yeah, they shouldn't have got fancy, traded it back, and they should have just took Blake Cash Money Cashman.
And they should have, but they didn't, and I don't think you'll ever get over that.
You know what? When the final cuts come out, and if Cam Smith and Ben Gideon are in those final cuts, and it's between those guys, and whatever name I read, I'll just go, okay, that's it. Zero emotion.
Yeah, it's really not exciting, but I do think obviously those two are the ones. DeMarcus Gates is a long shot, and those two undrafted rookies, it's nothing exciting there either. So let's move on to cornerbacks. This is a very interesting group this year, very young. So do you think there's, been the Dre Kirkpatrick rumors? In fact, there's been sites that report he is a Viking. Are the Vikings going to bring in a veteran?
Man, this is a tough one. I guess I hope they bring in somebody, even if he doesn't make the squad, somebody that can push these rookies in training camp for a spot. I think if it's anybody, I'm sticking on the Dre Kirkpatrick choo-choo train. That's the only guy I could see. Hopefully, I mean, I think his price tag, I think this guy thinks he's worth a little bit more than he is or should be. So if it's anybody, I hope it's him. I think it would be him. Other than that, when you look at guys who are available, I'd rather just roll with the rookies.
Yeah, I agree. I would, like you said, I think what you said about bringing them in just for camp, having that veteran leader on the field with these guys, working through the drills, working in preseason games, kind of putting some whispers of knowledge in their ears during games, especially a guy like Dre Kirkpatrick, who knows Mike Zimmer's defense. He played with him for a couple of years in Cincinnati. We're also where Eric Wilson went to school. I think that is huge, and he doesn't even have to make the team. I think you could get your money's worth out of this guy. Just have him around in camp in the preseason games would be a huge help to these youngsters. But I do think the Vikings are committed with going with this young group.
Young defense.
All right, so we got another question when it comes to cornerbacks. Will this inexperienced group, if the Vikings do roll with this group, is it going to bite them in the ass this year?
Boy, I think they're going to take some big old chomps out of our ass at times. A young secondary is very scary. I think we're going to have a lot of ups and a lot of downs. They're going to show their rookie colors, and then all of a sudden they're going to give us hope for the future. So I think it's going to be very inconsistent. Hopefully there's more ups than downs. Again, we've said it before, our saving grace is our elderly vets who are fantastic at the safety position, but they will definitely have times where they bite us in the ass.
Yeah, and I think a lot of it's going to come early in the season. That's where you're going to see this. Especially, I don't know how this starting group's going to shake out. If it's going to be Hughes, Hill, and Gladney in the slot, or Boyd, or whoever it is. One thing with these rookies, you got to remember, it seems like it takes them at least a year to pick up Mike Zimmer's scheme and the system. I don't know why that is, but I don't think – Rhodes was pretty quick, but Wayne's took a good year. Mackenzie Alexander took 2 years. So there's definitely a learning curve when it comes to Mike Zimmer's defense, so especially when it comes to the cornerback group.
Yeah, and just remember, Trey Waynes was the better cornerback last year. Xavier Rhodes looked like Not great. So
Xavier
even if they
Strode.
have their ups and downs, I mean, the cornerbacks we've had have had their ups and downs. So it will be very fun to watch.
Absolutely. So you mentioned already. Let's move on to safety. I think the biggest question surrounding the safety group, other than the sketchy depth, but that is what it is are the Vikings – well, should the Vikings extend Anthony Harris before the season or during the season? Do you want to see Anthony Harris stick around?
Boy, I actually just want him to play on the tag this year and see how he does. If he has another very, very good year, I think they'll be able to work something out. But I'm game to not re-sign him and like I said, to see what he brings to the table this year.
I once dated a girl who I often played on the tags with.
I don't like that. I don't like
a lot
that
of skin
at all.
tags.
I got it.
Yeah, I mean, if he plays on the tag this year and then you extend him next year, that's fine. I don't think he's going to hold out, so you're probably safe that way. But I would love to see this guy, just knowing he's going to be next to Harrison Smith till he retires and then kind of take over as the general of the secondary in a couple of years. Anthony Harris, he came from nothing. He worked his way up the ladder to be a hell of a safety in the NFL. He's going to get paid. And I hope to God it's with the Vikings. I'd hate to see him leave and get his money elsewhere.
Yeah, and what makes me feel better about this is when he kind of professed his love for the Vikings, just said, I'm going to sign it. I'm going to be here. I love Minnesota. So if he would have came off on the other side of things where he was pissed off and holding out, I would have rather them just sign him. But we're not really losing anything. He made it clear he wants to be a Viking. Let's see if he's the real deal. He really hasn't started that many games for the Vikings. Don't get me wrong, he's fantastic, but let's see what he does for another year.
Yeah, and I think he's going to have a hell of a year. He's going to be just as good, if not better, than he was last year.
I don't think he's going to, even if he has a huge year again, I can't see his price tag really going up much more than it is right now.
Yeah, I mean,
he's going to be paid as a top 3 safety,
but he'll be a year old. He'll be a year older.
Exactly, his price tag should go down.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right, let's hop over to special teams.
Bounce.
Who do you predict will be our kick and punt returner?
I don't think my answer is going to surprise you at all. I think it's going to be the 5th round rookie KJ Osbourne. I think that's why the Vikings drafted him. He is not really ready to be an impact player on offense. No one really saw this kid getting drafted as a receiver. They thought he was more of an undrafted option. So I think the Vikings said, hey, we need a kick. We need a punt return. Let's make it be the same guy this year. Let's get this Osbourne kid out of Miami and give him a shot. And I think if he shows he can do it in the preseason, I think it's his job.
What's your favorite Ozzy Osbourne song?
The one he did with Lita Ford, that duet.
Hell yeah.
I can't think of the name right now.
Hell yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, KJ Osbourne. I mean, really, when it comes to both kick and punt returns for the Vikings right now, it's Pierre Dreet, Chad Beebe, Amir Abdullah. I'm sorry, those guys, just nobody's scared of them. They're getting the ball. They're getting chances to return the ball. So we might as well go with Osbourne. The only reason I couldn't see it being Osbourne if he steps on his dick in the preseason and has a couple fumbles and just we don't have the warm and fuzzies there. But Osbourne's job to lose.
Close My Eyes Forever was the song, by the way.
Close my eyes forever.
You really nailed it. You sound just like Lita Ford.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think and what the Vikings need to do, last year they dicked around. They're trying all these different guys, even late in the preseason. Decide who your guy's going to be. Give him all the reps. Give him all the experience, especially now with the shortened, there's no OTAs and there's no mini camps. Hey, this guy's your kick returner. He's your punt returner. Give him 90% of the reps. Boom. And let him get ready.
And if KJ Osbourne absolutely does something horrible throughout the middle of the season or something like that, and we have nobody, you know what we'll do? We'll call Marcus Sherrills and he'll come walking back on the team.
He just lives down the road.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he lives at the stadium.
All right. So that's it. That's all of our defense and special teams questions. I don't remember. What was your trivia question again?
Trivia questions. George Edwards has been the Vikings defensive coordinator with Zimmer since day one. Who was the defensive coordinator before George Edwards? It sounds like it was so long ago.
I'm just going to say he took on a co-role, and it was Leslie Frazier was head coach / defensive coordinator.
You're wrong. The man I'm about to utter has the most generic name in the world. His name is Alan Williams.
I never even heard of him.
Oh my God! Do you even like the Vikings?
Alan Williams?
Alan Williams. He has been the Colts defensive coordinator. He's been in the Lions secondary. I don't even know where he is there, but Alan Williams. That's it.
Yeah, wow. All right. Well, we're going to end this with a fact, as we always do. And this is a short fact, but I think it's something you've probably always wanted to know. Turns out that oysters fart.